Hi, I'm Jennifer Ashley Tepper.
And I'm Joe Iconis, and you're listening to Album Podcast on the Broadway Podcast Network.
This episode is about a special song called Velociraptor, as gloriously performed by Liz Lark Brown.
And the origin story of Velociraptor is a pretty good one. I did not intend to write a song that was about what this song is about, but I'm really happy that I did.
In this episode, we talk about all of the Velociraptors that we've known and loved and how they led to this great song.
Accidentally. And it always seems like I'm out of place. Like everybody screams when they see my face.
Velociraptor, a creature song, a New York City song, a song written on a specific actor, Elaine Stritch style. I believe, Liz Lark Brown has made this song such a trademark and like her own, solo that she's just known for everywhere. I've seen her get stopped at 54 Below and complimented on this, not during a Joy Coniston family show. So this has really become the Liz Lark Brown, masterwork. What it first inspired you to write Velociraptor?
I wrote Velociraptor for a concert that we were doing at the Beachman. I wrote it specifically for Liz Lark Brown. And before I wrote the song, Liz said to me, because I told her I was going to write a song for her, she said, I just have a request. If you're writing a song for me, I'm I always, get asked to sing these songs where I'm like a sad woman who is, like pining after someone and is like, is feeling like, why doesn't anybody love me and is I'm just like sad and wistful and can you just write me something that's not that? And I was like, "Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, no problem. I'll do that." And so I started writing this song, and I the once I got into it, I was like, "Uh-oh. I'm like kind of writing this. I'm writing this song where it's like this creature who doesn't feel like they fit in." It's like it was exactly like everything that Liz asked me not to write is what I wrote. However, I just wrote it from the point of view of a velociraptor
Do you think
instead of a human woman.
if she hadn't said that, do you think the songwriting would have gone the same way?
I honestly don't know, and I think because she told me not what to because she told me what not to do, I felt like there was something in me that was like, "That's exactly what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do it different than you think I will." It was like that. Like, "I'll show you," which I wasn't which that makes it sound like I was, like, writing the song out of spite, and it was so the opposite. It was a very sort of, organic thing. It's, like, how I arrived at Velociraptor. But yeah, it totally because she said that. That's, how that song turned out. But, like, Velociraptor and I always use this as an example, but Velociraptor was a title that I had had for years and years and years and years and years. And for the longest time, there was just a Word doc on my computer that only said in print, in I'm sorry, in quotation marks, Velociraptor, good title for something. That's all it said, and it was just like for years. And I thought about it so much, and I was like, oh, is Velociraptor? Is that the title of a show? Is that what is that? And I tried to write songs called Velociraptor many times leading up to the creation of Velociraptor as we know it. And then it was like, it was just something about Liz giving me that, my marching orders to write her a song that wasn't about a sad creature who didn't fit in and was pining after things that I was like, oh, that's what this Velociraptor is going to be doing in this song.
So there's an alternate universe where you never wrote this song, but the album was called Velociraptor because you were just looking for something to title Velociraptor.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A Velociraptor's not forever.
Do you remember when you were like, this is a great title for a song? Any of the other kind of ideas you had? Were they like songs originally written for like women? Were they like similar themed?
For the title Velociraptor?
Yeah, like when you were like, I tried to write songs a couple times, it didn't quite happen. Like, was it always sort of this gist?
They were no. I can tell you that my impulse was like a rock song or something because Velociraptor, I feel like when we think of that word, it's a very sort of like aggressive kind of confrontational uh, image that we get of a of a velociraptor dinosaur. And so I kept, I think, trying to go the more obvious route of writing a song that was about like anger or about survival or something. And I can't remember any specific thing I might have written, but I know at the time that I wrote it, like 2010, 2011, I was probably likening a velociraptor to an artist, to a writer, to someone who was like trying to make a career in the arts, and fighting for that. And I was probably running into a lot of dead ends with that metaphor. And so then it was like, to sort of stumble into this idea of like, oh, I'm gonna like, write this song about this creature who doesn't fit in, who doesn't understand why, she doesn't fit in, and write it as if it was like a cabaret song that you could have heard at, at a club in like 1967 or something.
Mhm.
I wanted to write something that really felt like a throwback, like a sort of throwback comedy song. Just the only difference is that it's a literal dinosaur who's singing it, and not a person.
I never thought of this till now, but I really hope people use lyrics from this song in their, like, Tinder profiles. I feel like this would be the perfect, like, "Let's excerpt this from my dating app."
Yeah, I mean, I'm not up on the dating apps, but yeah, I think it's like there's lots of good stuff in there.
It just
The
feels
thing.
very relatable, like, when you're talking to your friend and they're describing their life as, like, cruising Midtown West, it's like, yeah, this is relatable for people that are on dating apps.
Yeah. Yeah, and, so many people, like, a weird amount of people, especially in the last few years, have approached me about the song and about how much the song means to them, which makes me so happy because I feel like the first few years of the song's existence, people who are not Liz Lark Brown, who would, encounter it, because the sheet music's for sale, so, like, people would sing it, and they would always kinda treat it like a straight up comedy song. Like they would always kind of treat it as like oh, it's so silly that this dinosaur is walking around the city and trying to date men. And for me, it's, I do think the song is funny, but I when I wrote it, and still, I just feel like it's, it's really, it's like the song's not trying to be funny. It's the song's trying to be honest about this feeling that this creature has, that they're just like not, they're not, they are the way that they feel in their body and the way that their body moves about the world. They feel different from everyone around them, and they don't fully know why, and they don't fully know what to do about it. They just feel not not connected to the environment and not of the environment. And to me, that's something that feels really relatable. That's something that isn't a funny thing. And so I've really noticed, like, recently, that people are sort of connecting with that song in a sort of deeper way, which I love because that was always the intention. Yeah, and I think the amazing thing about Liz's performance is that it checks all the boxes where it's we get the humor of it, and we get the like throwback 1960s cabaret song ness of it, but we also get the fact that like this is a real living, breathing creature who's like actually going through some really hard stuff, and all those things exist together in one.
I love that usually when Liz performs this, she's wearing like a nice like cabaret dress. Like I've never, I don't think, seen her like, other songs. My Best Friend's a Skeleton works when you perform it in a skeleton costume, like some of these songs about creatures, but Velociraptor's always performed in like, a classy slip dress. And I think there's something to that that adds to the song. Although someday Liz will perform it in a costume and it'll be interesting. I will say, like, I have a dream of her doing this at the song being performed at the American Museum of Natural History in like one of their concerts. I feel like that would be incredible.
I think that will be that will be the ultimate, that will be the peak for this song. I feel like other songs of mine, like the songs themselves, their dreams would be like, to be performed on the Kennedy Center Honors or on the Tony Awards or at the White House or something. But Velociraptor's dream is definitely at the museum for sure. One day. Um, yeah. A lot of people ask me about the middle section of the song where the Velociraptor just kind of speaks in clicks and whistles and roars, and and uh and I, the thing that I always say when I'm working with someone on the song is that I think that that bridge that's the Velociraptor's like native tongue. That's how she would be speaking if no one else was around. And the language, the vocabulary that she's using is, she's speaking in English, and she's using this vocabulary because that's how everyone else around her is communicating. And so she's like, she's wearing this vocabulary in an effort to assimilate. And that middle section, it's, she gets to a place where she just sort of lets herself freely express herself without having to, like, to shine it on. And so that middle section, I think, exists because it's this moment where she's just like so sick of like trying to pretend, that she just, like, lets it rip. And then she's back to it, and then she's back
Mm.
to words again. But she
That
gets that
totally makes sense. But so
moment of
people have
freedom.
asked you, like, can you translate this Velociraptorian for me? Because dramaturgically, they want to know what she's saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. All the time. Yeah. They're like, people are always like, what does that mean? What is she trying to say? And then sometimes very smart people say, well, like, if she's speaking like that there, why is she singing
Right.
words in the rest of the song? But I mean,
Yeah.
that's the answer.
It would be funny if, like, it was a version where she was just doing her version of, like, nonsense syllables of, like, 1960s do-a-diddy, do-ron-ron, but that was the Velociraptor version. I know it's not that, but
Yeah, but like,
yeah.
kind of, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's timeless.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Timeless to me. The Velociraptor hairspray tie-in.
Hey, thanks so much for listening or watching to my podcast. Do me a favor and go to wherever you just listen to or watch this thing and subscribe or like or give us a great rating or review, and then head to bpn.fm/album to find out even more information about this podcast, more ways to watch, more ways to listen, and check out my album. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Album Podcast is executive produced by Liz Armstrong, produced by Dori Berenstein, Alan Seals, Kim Garris, and the rest of the team at the Broadway Podcast Network. Be sure to visit bpn.fm/album for both audio and video versions of this podcast and to listen to Album.